The artificial divide between human and nature is no longer sustainable. Whether or not we call it the Anthropocene, there is less debate in stating that human activity is one of the driving forces in the destabilization of climate and ecosystems around the globe. Platforms for generation of new forms of knowledge and practice or culture are required. In this context, Jamaica Bay is an extremely interesting site because it encompasses a complex assemblage of human and non-human living entities. Our site, the Fort Tilden and Jacob Riis Park, are part of the Gateway National Urban Recreational Area, which includes other coastal areas of Lower New York Bay, Sandy Hook Bay, and Jamaica Bay. The managing federal entity, the NPS, is charged with the dual role of preserving the historical and ecological integrity of the parks while also making them available for public recreational use. Our interests align with these human and social concerns. As for the non-human, we have to recognize that we have never been alone. We've always been surrounded by beings of all sorts. Climate change is a comeback of these actors into the stage. Wildlife, ecosystems, and even the land is a dynamic actor and not the backstage for our existence. Adding to the complexity, the Rockaway has an increasing diversity of people from different ethnic backgrounds. Although the New York City Queens Community District 14 is constituted by the population of the Rockaway, a closer look will tell a story of two Rockaways, east and west. There is an invisible wall, and data maps clearly show the inequalities between East and West that reflect in correlations between race, household income, and home ownership. Projections for sea level rise and storm surge show that the park has a lower propensity to inundation in relation to the rest of the Rockaway. Although this is still within the most vulnerable areas for flooding, Zone 1, we can also see that evacuation centers are located several miles away from the peninsula. This suggests that there is an opportunity for this site to become part of a resiliency network. Hurricane Sandy was the recent event that exposed the vulnerabilities of the peninsula and further exacerbated the existing systemic inequalities. An approach to environmental justice also requires that we understand the environmental conditions that unequally affect the already vulnerable populations. Though the Rockaway is known for its beach experience, in summer, during the cold seasons, the area is isolated and the economy slows down. Residents complain about a feeling of isolation and lack of recreational options. Our vision for the Post as a cultural hub is to build on the existing networks that already use the park, and to expand by engaging the local communities with our ambitions for the site as the intersection of cultural, wildlife, and resiliency center. In this ecology culture, we want to focus on an everyday environmentalist approach instead of a crisis-oriented approach. This attitude is not oriented to controlling or profiting from nature, but to engage in nature. The public character of the park would allow for inquiries about environmentalism that escape concerns of beach ownership and are more oriented to personal experience and larger questions about the ecology of Jamaica Bay, the Gateway National Recreation Area, and the Anthropocene. Visitors are not spectators, but they become part of the ecological process. We see recreation and leisure as deeply enjoyable and personal experiences that should be the right for every citizen, but also have the potential for new inquiries about being in the world.
Fort Tilden, a former military complex, is divided in three areas: fortification, post, and wharf. Today, the fortification is popular for its wilder experience. People come here to birdwatch, explore, or do exercise. The wharf, known as Riis Landing, was the main water transportation access that served Fort Tilden. Today is known for the locals as a fishing spot and sometimes kayaking during the summer. The post served for administration and military residences. Today, two buildings have been leased to community groups, but most of the buildings are in disrepair and underutilized. Additionally, an open field is used as ball fields and there is a small community garden. Riis Park, known as the People's Beach, is located on the west side. The site was shortly part of the military complex, Then it was converted into a park in the 1930s, with a focus more oriented towards a beach experience. Today, people come here to barbecue, swim, sunbath, or relax. Most of the neighborhoods along Jamaica Bay are secluded areas that lack quality transportation options that would connect them to the beach. Therefore, for many years now, they have had limited access to public amenities and transportation. They are also the communities most likely to be damaged from natural disasters. The water currently serves to divide the sites from one another. By activating the area of Riis Landing, we are bridging the divide. We want to open up the possibility for water transportation proposals, for example, an inner bay ferry that will connect the communities along Jamaica Bay and allow them to have a more inclusive access to the site, as well as providing docking for transient boarders or casual residents who own boats. By creating a continuous flow of parkland and blurring the dividing line that is created by the fence currently in place, we would like to create a permeable network between Jacob Riis Park and the Post in Fort Tilden. We want to do this by activating the boardwalk and extending and joining the existing paths. This connection will encourage walking and cycling as well as making the park easier to navigate through. The following proposal explores the idea of using the existing buildings inside the Post to adapt and reuse them, as well as build and unbuild them. Our vision of the Post as a cultural hub encompasses integrating the current programming and creating a new diversity of programs that engage the communities within our ambition of this site as the intersection of a cultural center, a wildlife educational center, and a resilience response center. During regular operation, the Hub's central vision is to allow members of the community to dive into the complex topics of resilience, climate change, and sea level rise issues. Additionally, a second vision is to keep the Rockaway community actively alive with spaces for recreation, education, and cultural activities all year round. We envision the Post as a place where art, education, and nature become one. In the case of catastrophic events, our hub would morph. It will take on the role of a resilience center by providing recovery services, such as water, food, and goods. It will also provide means of communication and electricity, since our new proposed buildings will operate off the grid. Additionally, the site will also serve for storing supplies and serving as shelter, if necessary.